Did you know that celebration can actually improve our overall well being? Confession, celebrating people, celebrating accomplishments for myself, I would say it doesn't really come natural. I have to be intentional about it. And it's not that I'm introverted and I don't like people. Matter of fact, I love being around people. I can talk to pretty much anybody. I don't know why, but like it just doesn't come natural for me to say, "Hey, let's throw a celebration because this has happened in this person's life," or let's throw a celebration because this has happened in my life. Just doesn't come natural. Not sure why, but it's something I have to be very intentional about. I can even forget sometimes why I'm at an event, right? So I can go to a birthday party or something or a graduation party or whatever, and I'm at the event and I forget that, oh, I'm here to celebrate this person. I can get caught up in conversations everywhere and get caught up in everything that's going on and actually forget why I'm there. Like to celebrate what's going on in this person's life actually kind of starts to take a back seat. And I feel bad about it when that happens, but just confession that it happens from time to time. So celebration doesn't come that natural for me. It's something I have to remember and be intentional about. But it's very important for us to learn how to celebrate and celebrate well and to celebrate more often. When we celebrate, so many good things happen. Let's just talk physically for a second. It reduces stress. It releases all of those good chemicals and hormones we're looking for. You know, the dopamines and the serotonins and all that gets released, and we feel good. We feel happy. We feel joyful. And there's actually been a study done that says this that celebration can actually change our brain chemistry if we will learn to linger there. But we don't tend to linger in celebration. We tend to move on to the next thing really quickly. It's been said that, you know, the brain is like Velcro to the negative and Teflon to the positive. So the brain will grab the negative and hold on to it for a long time, can't seem to let it go. But when something positive comes in, yeah, we may entertain it, but we kind of deflect it and then just move on. And when we do that, we're not allowing celebration to do what it's meant to do, which is to actually change our brain chemistry to give us an overall sense of things are well. And that can actually change us. Also, too, this is interesting. Celebrating is what ensures that memories are formed. Like when we celebrate something, we are increasing the odds that we will remember that for the rest of our lives. And I know you're thinking, yeah, we're going to remember weddings or we're going to remember, you know, birthdays. Yeah, but I'm talking about the small things. I'm talking about the promotion. I'm talking about the raise. I'm talking about the job you finally get. I'm talking about the new house you can finally move into. There's so many things that we can celebrate if we will just stop and be intentional about it and linger there. We celebrate naturally sometimes, almost like impulsively. We don't even have to choose it. It's just going to happen. Again, back to the big events when someone blows out their birthday, blows out the candles on their birthday cake. What are we going to do? We're going to spontaneously clap. It's just what we're going to do. We don't even have to choose it. We don't even have to think about it. When whoever is officiating the wedding says it's my honor to present to you Mr. and Mrs. So and so, what are we going to do? We're going to immediately clap. We're going to immediately celebrate. It's built in us. It's built in us to celebrate. But because we have this fallen part of us, this fallen part of our brains that wants to deflect the positive and not linger there, the celebrations are going to be short and we're not going to have enough of them. We're either not going to celebrate the gain or we're going to celebrate something, but then tend to just move on to the next thing really quickly. But deep down in who we truly are as God's creations, we are designed and created to celebrate. Why? Because He celebrates. God is a celebrating God. And from the beginning of time, we have been celebrating because we're created in His image, and that's what He does. When you look back at the Old Testament, the children of Israel, there were 7 festivals on the calendar every single year at the same time. And these were big festivals. These were big deals. Like you had to like pack up. You had to spend weeks preparing, pack up, travel to Jerusalem. And then they would set up tents and they would just spend days celebrating, remembering the good that God has done. And there were 7 of them, which means with all the preparation that had to happen, it seems like, at the beginning of the year when they looked at their calendar, okay, we got these 7 festivals coming up where we're going to go celebrate, and all the prep work that has to go into it. They probably spent a lot of their time celebrating or preparing to celebrate. So God's people from long, long, long time ago, we have been celebrating. And why? Because God celebrates. God is compassionate, which means he feels what we feel. So when we celebrate, he celebrates. And even when we don't celebrate, he is. I can think back to, we all are familiar with Luke chapter 15, right? And Luke chapter 15 is such a powerful chapter because the intention behind the 3 parables found in Luke 15, they're designed to teach us about who God is. So Jesus was hanging out with some sinners, right? Tax collectors, just people that were really looked down on in society. Jesus was hanging out with them, eating meals with them. And the religious folk of the day, they didn't like that at all. And so they asked, who is this man? Who is this man that eats with sinners? And Jesus said, you want to know who this man is? I got 3 stories for you. So these 3 stories are designed to tell us what God is like, because Jesus came to reflect the image of God. He is the exact imprint of God's nature, according to the writer of Hebrews. So Jesus said, I'm going to tell you 3 stories to tell you who God is. So he's got this captive audience who they don't understand the character of God. And he's going to tell them 3 stories, not to sum up the character of God, but to give some highlights, what he wanted them to know. And so the first story is about a shepherd who has 100 sheep, loses one, leaves the 99, goes searches for the sheep, finds him, brings him back, and there is a celebration. The next story is about a woman who has 10 valuable coins, loses one, sweeps the house fervently until she finds that coin. When she finds the coin, she calls her neighbors and they throw a celebration. Then the story that we all know, the story of the prodigal son, the son who asks for his inheritance before his father even dies and goes out and just wastes it. He just wastes it and just being selfish, self-centered, trying to get his needs met his way. And when he finally gets to the end of himself, he decides it's time to go home. Things were better at my father's house. So as he starts his journey home, he starts thinking about, his confession. Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Just make me like one of these hired servants. But then Jesus, as he tells us the parable, says that the father sees his son coming from a long way off. The father runs to his son, wraps his arms around him, embraces him. The son goes into his speech, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. And the father cuts him off, doesn't even let him finish, and says, it's time to celebrate. Go get the things that affirms him as my son. Remember, this guy's attitude was, hey, just make me a servant. But the father didn't call for the hoe, the rake, the shovel. He calls for the sandals, for the robe, for the ring, the things that say, this is my son. Then what does he do? He throws a party and he celebrates. So Jesus said, you want to know who this guy is? You want to know who this God is? This is a God who celebrates. And who does he celebrate? Us. Think about that. A holy, perfect, righteous God who created this universe with the sound of his voice celebrates you and celebrates me, because that's what God does. And we are created in his image. And so we are wired, deep down, we are wired to celebrate. And if we will just let ourselves linger there, yes, the big celebrations, the birthdays, the weddings, the graduations, yes, the birth of a child, huge celebration, right? Yes, we need to celebrate all that and we need to linger there. But also, may we get intentional about celebrating the small things. The small things. You may find yourself celebrating a sunset. You may find yourself celebrating just a good conversation with a friend. You had a great conversation with a friend where you really, really connected. On your ride home, celebrate that and let yourself linger there. So may we learn to linger in celebration, and may we allow the celebration to do what God designed it to do, which is to make our souls more like Him. Hey, if this video has been helpful, if you've enjoyed it, make sure that you hit that like button, drop a comment, share it around. See y'all next time.